Hi, my loves. So today I am going to get into the mechanics of chasing versus pursuing and components that drive behavior in dating. And this is from chapter 6 of What Men Want. So we're going to go into, is one a healthy form of romantic involvement and engagement, or are they equally the same? We're going to go over the key differences. Why do we chase? Why do we pursue? What is chasing? What is pursuing? Who chases? And also who pursues. So one of the key questions we want to ask is, one a healthy form of romantic involvement and engagement, or are they equally the same, right? A lot of coaches talk about how to get a man to chase you and six ways to get a man to chase you. And so we want to ask the question, is one a healthy form of romantic involvement and engagement, or are they the same? And like I said, we're going to go into what the key differences are, why we chase, why do we pursue, who's chasing, who pursues. Okay. Now, chasing, and what I teach you guys is that chasing is an excessive form of pursuit. And just the word in itself implies that. If you think about the word pursuit and you think about the word chasing, pursuing is you're going after what you want and it's subtler. Chasing is very needy, right? Like just in terms of the energy and in terms of the words, like chasing is very, you have to get it. There's like a need associated with it. In terms of the outcome, it's very similar in terms of outcome, but it's an excessive form of pursuit. Okay. And there's an underlying component in that, which we'll get into. So its underlying motivation is to soothe self. Okay. Not so much to capture the interest of the third party, which is what pursuit is, right? Pursuit is capturing the interest of a third party. In terms of chasing, the underlying motivation is to soothe self first. And with both terms, when we're chasing and we're pursuing, there is this whole sort of wanting to get something or get a romantic partner or whatever, whatnot. But the motivation is different, right? The motivation in chasing and the motivation of pursuit is different. So capturing the interest of the third party is only relevant in so much that it signifies importance to the chaser and thereby soothes them of their internal incongruence. Okay. So I hope you guys understand this. And if you have questions, you can always ask me later. So the chaser is chasing a feeling. The feeling that the chaser chases is not so much a feeling of romantic love, right? That's what someone that pursues wants, but a feeling of validation that ties into their distorted self-concept that is built on self-importance and a grandiose sense of self. Okay, so let's just break this down. So the chaser is chasing a feeling, and it's a feeling of validation, right? That's why we're chasing it, different from pursuit. But in chasing, we're chasing this feeling. We want a feeling, right? And it's not so much of romantic love. The feeling that we're chasing is we want to feel validated, right? And then think about it in terms of when we're chasing a man, we want a man's validation. We want the man's approval. We're chasing that. We're not so much chasing romantic love, because when we're looking for romantic love, that feeling is very different from chasing for validation, right? The feeling of wanting to be pursued as a feminine woman is very different and is in contradiction to the feeling of chasing in terms of this person, I need validation. It's completely different. And it ties into their distorted self-concept that is built on self-importance and a grandiose sense of self, okay? So since the chaser lacks a feeling of importance at an egoic level, which is on the healthy spectrum, because we all have an ego and all of our egos are designed with the same mechanism of keeping us safe, the chaser lacks this aspect of healthy ego and instead has a distorted negative ego. Okay. So the chaser's distorted negative ego will crave external validation of self, since it has not come into its awareness and is not being taught another way to obtain the feeling of importance internally in a healthy way. Okay, so we all have ego. There's nothing wrong with ego when we're on the balance side. So we're balanced in our masculine and feminine energies, and this is for men and women. We have a healthy ego, and that healthy ego, we get that internal sense of well-being within, right? The chaser doesn't have that, and the chaser doesn't possess that. A chaser doesn't have a healthy self-concept. So the chaser is looking for validation outside of itself and will crave this external validation because it hasn't come into its own awareness and its own sense of well-being internally, right? And that's what we get when we have a healthy self-esteem and a healthy ego. So chasers exhibit qualities that reflect a lack of awareness. And if awareness is there, right? So even if a chaser has the awareness and knows what the chaser is doing, has the awareness that it is wrong, they lack respect, boundaries, and social cues. So this is important to note. So even sometimes, this comes back to self, we will have an awareness that this behavior is wrong, chasing a man is wrong, messaging a man multiple times or calling and things like that. We will have the awareness that it is wrong. So we will lack that awareness, but we will continue to do it. We as a chaser we will have lack of respect, boundaries, and social cues. And social cues comes from the fact that we're not going to be getting the response that we want, right? When we're calling a man multiple times, when we're chasing a man multiple times, we are not going to get the response that we want from the man. The man is actually going to pull away. And this is the same thing with a man. If a man is watching this, a woman is going to pull away. So we can know that our behaviors are wrong, we can have awareness of it, but we still will have lack of respect, boundaries, and we will lack social cues, right? The awareness of social cues. So a chaser believes that their behaviors are good and caring. Conversely, evidence of love and lack of reciprocation will be met with extreme reactivity in the form of criticism, judgment, and lack of empathy. So sometimes when we are chasing and we are like over pursuing, we will, if we don't have the lack of awareness, and this is all about awareness, we need the awareness, this is not about judgment, we will tell ourselves that our behaviors are good and we're caring, right? So if we are calling a man excessively or we're calling our kids excessively, this is not just for a romantic relationship. This can be even with our children, right? Our family. If we are being excessive in our behaviors and excessively calling anybody or texting anybody, that we are and we are telling ourselves that we are doing this because we care and we're being loving, that is chasing, and that is coming from an unhealthy space. And a chaser will use these negative behaviors as evidence of love, and when it is not reciprocated, so if the other person puts a boundary and says, I only want to talk to you this amount of time, this is what feels healthy to me, this doesn't feel good, that lack of reciprocation will be met with reactivity in the form of criticism, judgment, and lack of empathy. So I want you guys to think about that within yourself. If you are calling a man excessively and he can't pick up, or he's working, or whatever it is he's doing, think about your own reactions to that, right? Did you go into like wounding and reactivity and anger that he doesn't love me, or he's not paying attention to me, or he's not caring, or any criticism towards him? That is a behavior of a chaser, and it's coming from the unhealthy ego. Now, what does over pursuit means? Over pursuit is chasing, right? Over pursuit simply means rushing to achieve and obtain some sort of outcome, and fast. Now, the faster the outcome is reached, the greater the degree of self-importance the chaser feels. Okay, so chasing is over pursuing, right? And we're chasing to get this feeling and this feeling of validation. Now, the faster that we can attain whatever outcome that we want, if that is getting a man to be in a relationship with us or getting someone to do something for us, the faster we can reach that, the better we're going to feel about ourselves as a chaser, because it is going to validate like self-importance. And as a chaser, we don't feel that within ourselves. And so this outcome is going to give us that sense of self-importance that we lack within ourselves. Okay. Now, examples of over pursuit or chasing look like an excessive amount of messaging on dating apps. Excessive amount of messaging is anything that is placing an importance on the dating app. That means that if we're constantly obsessing over messages and who has matched with us at the expense of focus toward other things, a chaser places excessive importance on a person. Once the conversation gets going, they become overly invested. Okay, their overinvestment is displayed through their consistent need of connection to this third person. Okay. An overinvestment of feelings very early on. So the chaser will feel excessively happy and excited. There will be an urgency to hop on a call and set up a date, and this won't feel natural and organic. Okay. So everything is going to feel very rushed, right? As soon as a man matches with us on a dating app or a woman matches with us on a dating app, we just want to get the conversation going and we want to have talks. And now we're not focusing on work. We're not focusing on the gym. We're not focusing on our health. We're waiting for the messages to come in. And our focus is now not towards us anymore. It's towards this other person and this actions of this other person. And we're getting excessively happy and excited, right? As soon as we get this match and this person is talking to us and we're getting attention, we're getting overly excited about that. So we're putting an overemphasis of meaning on what it means for this person to be messaging us and things like that. And it's going to, and the underlying thing here is it's going to feel very rushed. Why? Because and this excitement, why does it feel exciting? It feels exciting because we don't feel good about ourselves. As a chaser, we don't feel good about ourselves. We lack this self-importance within ourselves, and we're looking for it externally. So once we see evidence of it externally, we match with someone, a man is interested in us, a woman is interested in us, we latch on, right? And then we want more and more. And why do we want more and more? We want more and more because now this is feeding this hole that we have within ourselves, okay? So it will feel very inorganic to the healthy third party, although it may feel good to the third party chaser who also very quickly wants to move things along. So if a man is chasing me, and I will probably go into examples of this, where I've met men where they match with me, they like my profile, we start talking, and I can see that he's very excited. He's overly excited because I am balanced in my energies and I'm a balanced woman, I'm a secure woman. That is going to be off-putting to me. Now, if I wasn't balanced in my energies and I wasn't a healthy woman and I was also a chaser within, right? I also exhibited qualities of a chaser. That over pursuit would feel very good to me because I would be, just as he would be looking for validation from me, I would be looking for validation from him. Okay. So examples of over pursuit and chasing look like the chasing feels very fast. And as I said, it's evidenced by frequent messaging early on, and it's extended first, second, and third dates. So extended first dates, and for those of you guys that follow me, I always say first date should be coffee or maybe dinner, maximum 2 hours. So coffee date should be like an hour. Extended first, second, and dates mean, and it could be phone conversations. You guys are on the phone for hours. You are on a date for hours, like all day, 5 hours, things like that. And you guys meet very quickly again. Okay, calls very early on last very long. The chaser will want to get into a relationship as quickly as possible. Okay, so this is the underlying theme. It is very rushed. The chaser wants to get this outcome very quickly because that solidifies a good feeling within the chaser. That chaser lacks that within self. Okay. So this need to get into a relationship as quickly as possible stems from the lack of importance that the chaser feels for self, okay? The chaser feels needed, desired, and important when their advances are met. When the advances are not met, they will become self-important by way of condemning the third party for their lack of interest and can go so far as to shame them for not giving them a chance, okay? So this is exactly what I was just talking about, that when the chaser gets their advances met, they feel desired and they feel needed. And when it's not met, they become very self-righteous, right? And they condemn the third party for their lack of interest. And what they'll do is they'll shame them, they'll put them, and I want you guys to think about this within yourself. When your advances are getting met by a man and you're talking to him and he's giving you all this attention, and then all of a sudden he doesn't one day, or he's out, or he doesn't call you, what happens? We become self-entitled, right? And we get mad at them, we become reactive. So if we're in our unhealthy masculine energy, what we'll do is we'll become very reactive and we will become very mean. Okay, so the unhealthy feminine woman will become very needy, very whiny, very very needy, right? Why aren't you calling me? How can you not be calling me? An excessive sadness, right? For the unhealthy masculine woman, she'll become angry, right? They're both reactive, they're both ego responses, but the behavior looks a little bit different, okay? So the chaser will often not respect boundaries. If a man wants to A woman will not let a man lead the relationship if it's a woman that's the chaser. And even if a man says, I only want to, let's say there's kids involved, I think we should have a schedule for the kids that's healthy for the kids. The chaser, this woman, this toxic woman will not like it, and she'll not respect his boundaries. As women, if we're in a relationship with a man and a man has work or a man is busy and he can't pick up, let's say he's at the gym, we won't respect his boundaries if we are continuing to message him and call him and things like that. Okay. And for what it looks like for a female with a man is if a female says, I'm not ready to kiss, I'm not ready to move into sort of anything sexual, the chaser, and let's say that's the man, he will become upset by that, right? He won't respect that and he'll become upset by that. And he might even shame her for her not wanting to move forward in that way. So they will message and call despite the reciprocation, and will often, despite the lack of reciprocation, and will often end up being blocked since the chasing behavior will not cease. The chaser can go from anger to self-pity to sorrow to an overemphasis of inauthentic happy emotion to get the attention of the third party, right? The chaser will, if this person is not getting that validation, what will happen, they'll become reactive, like I was saying. So reactive, getting angry, that's the toxic masculine, to self-pity, which is the wounded feminine, to sorrow. And then when those don't work, because usually when we do these behaviors, what happens is the other person moves away. Now the chaser will go into performing and will fake being happy, right? An overemphasis of happy emotion to get the attention of the third party. Okay. So who chases, right? This is the fundamental question. Who chases? Well, men and women that are imbalanced in their energies, men and women polarized in their masculine and feminine energies, or function between both extremes, right? Either if you're really far into your masculine energy or really into your feminine energy, but usually when you are in one extreme, you're functioning back and forth between both extremes, okay? Although the energy will be polarized either in the masculine or in the feminine, right? Even though the behaviors will mirror both and you'll switch back and forth between both, the energy, because I talk about energy, the energy will either be polarized in the masculine or polarized in the feminine, okay? And we can get into that in the class more if you guys want to go over that. So how does this look? So men polarized in their masculine energy, and I'm referring to men in this slide, these men lack masculine energy and will be forceful to get what they want. They will push, force, and exaggerate features of patriarchy, such as dominance. They will over pursue, manipulate, and rush to make things happen with a woman to validate an identity, which in fact is their lack of identity. They will become excessive in their courting. So excessive. They will ask a woman out multiple times a week and take her to fancy restaurants, be grand with gestures, a week to Paris, fancy events, and the like. And they will also brag about their assets, okay? This is men that are polarized in their masculine energy. And this is all in an attempt to seduce, to win her over. So chasing is outcome oriented. And when we chase, we're more concerned with the outcome versus the organic process of unfolding, okay? Although pursuit is also outcome oriented, the orientation and mechanics are organic. So I hope you guys understand that. So there's the need for validation that we are enough, a need for validation of internal importance, need for outsourced connection and love, need for sexual pleasure, need for safety. So these are the needs that are associated with chasing and a chaser, right? It's this need for validation that we are enough, a need for validation of internal importance, a need for outsourced connection, love, a need for sexual pleasure, and a need for safety. These are the needs that drive the behavior of the chaser, okay? Now, when women chase, they are searching for a feeling of being met, okay? So different from men, women chase, they're searching for a feeling of being met. Women who long for companionship, safety, and to be seen will chase men through their behaviors that elicit a reaction. Often that reaction/response stems from the man's ego versus his heart. So when women chase through behaviors that elicit a reaction, right? Even though there's a response, right? And this is what where leaning back comes from, and this is why I disagree with it. The response that is elicited from these behaviors that women do to get a man is not coming from a man's heart, it's coming from his ego. Since the woman that chases is also ego driven, the response garnered will be mirrored accordingly, okay? So what are some chasing behaviors of women? So indirect forms of chasing are posing provocatively on dating apps or social media to elicit attention from men. A woman will flaunt her body, assets, or intellect, money to draw men in. A woman that is not as aesthetically pleasing will use her assets, money, and accomplishments to lure men in. Now, women that are beautiful and aesthetically beautiful will often use their body and their sexual energy to get a man in. Women that are not aesthetically pleasing, they will still use their sexual energy to lure a man in. So they might go down on a man, they might do all these things to pleasure a man, again, to get him, but they will also use assets and monies and accomplishments to lure men in, right? They will seduce a man with the things that they have, right? So direct are initiating messaging on dating apps and social media, initiating conversations, initiating plans, filling in the gap when a man has pulled away or has disconnected, having conversations to convince a man to behave in a way that is evidence of his commitment. Any conversation that is indicative of leading, either directly or indirectly, so giving hints about what he should do next before he has committed, any emotional outbursts or upset emotion being revealed to get him to do something, okay? Chasing is a form of survival that arises from the need to feel significant and experience love and connection. When the individual lacks the sense of acknowledgement from within, the individual will display behavior that represents an almost taking of that feeling from whichever source feels best and most accessible. Okay, so it is a form of survival, okay, because we all want to feel significant. We all want to experience love and connection. We all want to experience this within ourselves. If we don't feel it within ourselves, we are going to take that feeling, we are going to grab it, and we are going to make sure that we are feeling it, okay? And it's because it is not coming from within us, okay? So what is pursuit? Okay, so pursuit is a healthy form of relating that involves displaying one's most favorable characteristics, personality traits, assets to attract a mate of an equal or higher caliber, okay? So it's a healthy relating, and it does involve displaying what, our most favorable traits and things like that, because ultimately with pursuit, we want to attract a mate that is at our level or of a higher caliber, okay? Pursuit is healthy in that when a man is looking to attract a mate, his DNA will move him to behave in ways that are natural and organic to his nature. Okay, so it means he will move toward what he wants without any exaggerated advances. Exaggerated advances to the masculine man are threatening to the self-concept. Okay, a masculine man is healthy and balanced and is by design a creature of nature. A creature of nature moves in alignment with nature and evolutionary principles. Evolutionary principles are organic, natural, slow, and feel good. Okay, so masculine men will pursue, right? And pursue looks like an interested yet disinterested approach to dating and relating. This means that a masculine man will move into dating with the intention of meeting a high value woman, but will not force or be overly invested in the process of dating. Okay. Instead, there will be an ease that will be demonstrated through his lack of investment initially. Okay. So with a masculine man, right? He is interested, he wants a wife, but he's going to not force anything. And he is going to be dating with an intention of meeting a high value woman. And he's not going to be overly invested in the process of dating, right? There's going to be an ease that is involved in this, okay? Initially, he will make the first move. He will initiate and lead the conversation, but he will likely not move into asking for a date right away. And if he does, it will be very lighthearted. Okay, there will not be extended text conversations and phone conversations. There will be space and gaps between dates, and there will not be much communication. The masculine man that pursues also pursues other women initially. Okay, so men that are masculine in their energy are going to be pursuing other women as well initially. So their focus, a masculine man's focus, is not going to be on one woman right away. It will be for the chaser. It won't be for the masculine man. So masculine men are hunters and approach dating in this way. They're selective and will not put all their eggs in one basket. The chaser likely will. The chaser will zoom in and be aggressive in the pursuit, making a woman feel very early on that she is the only one. And this can feel very heavy to the feminine woman, although very good to the unhealed woman. Okay, so because feminine women and masculine men mirror each other, a feminine woman will also not be putting her eggs in one basket. So see how similar this is? See how they're a mirror to each other? A feminine woman will also be looking to date other men. So when a man is single-handedly focused on the woman and he communicates that and he shows up very aggressive early on, it will feel very heavy to a woman that is feminine in her nature, just as it will feel very heavy to a man that is masculine in his nature, because both of them are reciprocal in terms of how they are approaching dating. Okay. But to an unhealed woman, aggressive pursuit, which is chasing, will feel very good because that woman lacks that internal congruence within herself. And so she's looking to get that and obtain that. And she obtains that sort of sense of validation from the outside world, from external world, right? External validation, excessive pursuit, anything excessive is going to feel very good to the unhealed woman, and it's going to give her that which she lacks within herself, okay? She needs it. And so when a man is balanced and masculine, the unhealed woman will not feel good. It will feel like that man is not doing enough, okay? And I hope this was helpful. I'm going to go over some of the questions with you guys right now. So I'm going to go over some questions that you guys put in the group. Now, what's really important to understand here is that, and especially in the last slide, a woman that is unhealthy in her energy, and she won't feel good with a masculine man's efforts because it won't feel good enough, right? It won't be enough. And that is why she ends up repelling masculine men, because masculine men, as I said, are slow with their pursuit. They're slower in terms of getting to know someone, just as a feminine woman is. But for an unhealed woman, it'll never feel enough, right? It's never enough. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to go over the questions that we had in our group, and some of the questions were really great, and I'm just going to go over some of them right now to answer that here. Okay, so this is one of the questions from one of our members. If you reflect and realize you've done something to hurt a guy, or you have an off day and you weren't showing interest, how do you take ownership for these moments? I feel often trying to fix it is controlling or chasing. Now, this member is referring to a part of the book where and this is what I wrote in the book. If you find that a man is pulling away, look within and see whether anything was said or done unintentionally that could have hurt him. He usually won't mention it, he'll back away. Now, this is a really great question. When you taking accountability for our actions is not chasing or pursue, it's not chasing or pursuing, right? We are human, we are women, we are not robots, right? We're going to have moments that we are not perfect, and that is okay, right? We're going to be reactive sometimes, like we're going to have a range and spectrum of emotions. When I talk about my work, I'm talking about the balance, right? So if we do notice that we've done something wrong, or we have done something that is unbecoming, we can send a message out and apologize and be accountable. And that's, I teach you guys to be vulnerable. That is not chasing. I don't recommend waiting for a man to approach us when we've acted in the wrong. That is not my style, right? That is very unattractive, and that is very low value, and that is very ego. So when we recognize that we were in the wrong, we want to take accountability for that. Now this question is a little bit confusing, because if you reflect and realize you've done something to hurt a guy, or have an off day and you weren't showing interest. Now, these are two different things. Hurting a guy is different from showing interest. So hurting a guy, if we hurt a guy and we have an off day, when we come into the awareness that we've done something wrong, we want to admit that and we want to apologize right away. Okay. When showing interest, we never need to show interest, right? We don't need to play games to show interest. We need to just be appreciative of and happy and vulnerable. And I teach you guys how to do this in this group. That is enough to show interest. We don't need to do anything to show interest. Okay. I feel often trying to fix it is controlling or chasing. So we're not trying to fix it. Taking accountability isn't trying to fix it. Taking accountability is just what people in integrity do. I'm sorry that I lashed out the other day. I didn't mean to do that. That's it. Now we wait for a man to see how he feels with that and for him to pick up the slack from there. We don't need to do anything more than that. Okay. So another member mentioned, I had mentioned in the group something that I had gone through with my partner, and I had posted the text message there, and his response was a very loving response. And at the end, he said, sorry, I wasn't being myself. Some of the things you said hurt me, right? So I have a member that I saw that text message. I read in the post you made yesterday where your partner wrote that you said certain things that were hurting him. How do you address that? So as soon as he messaged me that message, which was a vulnerable text message, I took accountability right away. I sent him a voice note. It was like 4 minutes. I apologized and I was vulnerable. And I told him I was sorry. I didn't mean to come off that way or to make him feel bad. That's not my intention, and how much I respect him. And that was it. I took accountability. Okay. Can you reach out first from time to time if you were having something to say to a guy you were talking to? Sounds weird, but I've heard coaches say to never ever do this. Yeah, you can reach out first whenever you want, right? So initially in dating, if you're a high value woman, you won't, not out of strategy or to get something from a man, but because you won't, right? I never reach out initially in dating because why would I? I want to see if a man's going to pursue me. Why would I help him? In a relationship now and with my partner, and once you're in a relationship and things like that, I message him all the time. It is very reciprocal. I'm feminine. I'm a talker. I talk. My energy, though, is not outcome oriented. My energy is just to share. Big difference. This is what I'm teaching you guys in the group. My energy is not to, I'm going to message him this because I want this reaction from him. I'm messaging him just to share. And if he doesn't respond, I'm not going to get angry or upset. I'm just going to let it be. So see the difference there? And I'm just stepping back because there's a lot of sun. Okay. How does a masculine man text before the first date? Does he use replies like cool or lovely to see the woman's responses? Now, I can't pinpoint exactly how they text. I can tell you the feeling. They're very casual and they're very laid back in their texts. They're very easygoing. They're very relaxed. They're very casual. Okay. Casual would be the best way to say it. They're very casual. I don't really like cool. That seems strange, but yeah, so they're very casual and they're very laid back. And I talk about this also in the book, What Men Want. So you guys can look at that again as well. How do I know that I'm being honest? What are the boundaries for a high value feminine woman? Okay, so this is not a question that's related to the class, so I'm not going to answer this here, but I will answer that in the group. Okay, how to find the balance to show interest to a masculine man without showing yourself as needy while keeping things slow at the same time. Okay, this is such a great question from one of our members. So you don't have to do anything. You guys don't have to do anything. You are appreciative and responsive to what he does. That's it. There's nothing else to do. You guys show up the way I show up and every man will be all over you. You don't need to do anything. You need to be so even when I do these classes, you guys show me appreciation, you show me love. The way you guys show me, the way you guys communicate with me in the group is what you do, man. That's it. Needy is doing more than that. Okay. Needy is not just showing interest based on his advances and showing appreciation. Needy is taking the lead, right? Needy is wanting more. Needy is messaging. Needy is that is very different from showing interest to a man's advances. Okay. So while keeping things slow at the same time. So these are multiple questions. So you don't need to keep things slow. You just wait to see how he shows up. And then based on this class, and I've taught you guys now what chasing versus pursue it is. If it doesn't feel good, you can end it. You don't need to course correct anything. Okay. At some point, yeah, a man is going to want to initiate certain things. And if you're not ready, you can just say, I'm not ready. I didn't kiss my partner for over 10 dates, I think. It was good for me to see his reaction and response to that. If he had a negative reaction to that, which some men did, I just cut them out, right? Okay, I want to attract healthy, wealthy, handsome, full of integrity man. Okay, so this is not a question related to the class, but I will answer that in the group. How do I express feeling in a way that isn't manipulative? Okay, so this is also not part of the group. Okay, in terms of the chapter on pursuit versus chasing, how are feelings chasing? If we express our love for them, how to do that in a way that isn't chasing? We should never be expressing our feelings to a man initially, right? That is chasing, because initially a man will be communicating his interest to us. That's what feels good to a masculine man, right? And so if we're having feelings and we're expressing feelings early on before commitment, yeah, we're chasing, we're outcome oriented, because we're looking for this person and this man to give us something, right? Give us his attention, give us his commitment. And that is not something that we should be doing in the earlier stages of dating anyway. When a man has shown effort and expressed his feelings to us, we can go and express our feelings to him. So masculine men will never do this. If they do not feel a woman is interested, they simply back away. How do we show interest if we like the man without being deemed as desperate or being the initiator? Okay, so this goes back to my other response. We show up appreciative and happy, guys. This is so hard for women. Look at everything I'm doing for you guys in the group. It's a lot for the investment. How do you show me that? How do you show me that you guys appreciate it, right? You guys do testimonials for me. You guys show me your love. You guys are happy. You guys show up happy. You give me that love. That is all you have to do with a man. That is how you show interest. It's exactly how I know that you guys are interested, right? If you guys just stay quiet in this group, you guys don't give me feedback, you guys don't share your experiences in the group, you guys don't do that, I'm not going to think you guys are interested, and then I'm not going to want to do this, right? Why would I want to do more and give you guys more if I don't see your positive feedback? It's the same thing with a man. He wants to see his advances. There's a positive outflow of energy for his advances. I want to see the things I'm doing. Are you guys loving it? Because if I'm putting all this effort and I'm not seeing that back, I'm not going to do more. Same thing with a man, right? That's all we have to do. Now, getting ahead, being desperate is asking for more. So how is that in line with me here? I'm doing a lot already for the investment. It's you guys asking me for one-on-one coaching, you guys not respecting my boundaries, you guys asking for more from me, you guys being demanding. That is desperate and needy, right? Because the investment is very low, right? The investment at the moment is like $13 a month. That is really ridiculously low. So everything I'm giving, right? $100 or $120, plus I gave you the value of the books. This group is ridiculously cheap. You're getting so much value, right? The investment is so low. So everything I'm doing is a bonus and should be appreciated. Same thing with a man, right? If a man, before he's given commitment, is asking you out once a week, we want to be appreciative of that, right? Because that's the investment level that so if he's giving us a date once a week and we are getting upset and we want more, given the investment that he has put into the relationship, that's his investment level at the moment, he's not going to want to see you again. If your investment level to this group is $12 and you guys want so much from me, I'm going to pull away or I'm going to raise my prices. So a man is going to, based on his investment level, he's going to want to see how you guys are responding to that. And if you guys are happy with what he's doing, he will do more. If I'm appreciated, I'm already doing a lot. I'm doing a lot more than I anticipated for this membership in this group. When I see you guys giving me testimonials, when I see you guys loving me, when I see you guys being grateful, when I see a positive feedback in that, that doesn't make me want to withdraw. That makes me want to give more, right? Same thing with a man. Okay, one of the women said, I mainly wonder that when it comes to long distance relationships, which feel so unfeminine because of the amount of words through text instead of in-person energy. It doesn't matter. For those of you guys that have been private clients with me and you have me on WhatsApp, look at my messages to you guys. I am so random. I send a million messages. How's my energy? Is it controlling and outcome oriented, or is it fun and playful and light? Again, it doesn't matter the amount of text messages. It doesn't matter. It matters the energy. The energy is what matters. But initially, even if it's long distance, you want to mirror him. We don't need to be doing anything. We want to see what he does depending on the investment level. Okay, so another question is, I have a question regarding chapter 6. Fareen writes, when a masculine man has kids with an unhealthy woman, he'll do his best to make things right for the children, but not for so long. Since masculine men have the instinct to protect and provide for their children, when does he reach that breaking point where he realizes that he needs to move on? even if that means spending less time with his kids. If there's any sort of emasculation or boundaries have been crossed, if there's been cheating, he will put the woman first. But men can tolerate a lot of unhappiness for their children. But at some point, if he's disrespected, if it whatever it is for a man, right? For a man, it could be him finding out that the woman is not faithful because men really want a committed woman, things like that, right? A man will leave the relationship at that point. And yeah, so that's not really related to this question, so I'm not going to get too much into that. But I hope that was helpful, you guys. And yeah, I'd love to hear your feedback. And I'm excited to see what your thoughts are. And we have follow-up questions. We'll do a Zoom call based on this class. And yeah, I hope you guys got a lot of learning from it. Bye.